Well, hello and welcome to our latest edition of the Business Spotlight interview. Today, I am delighted to be joined by Rebecca Bryson, founder and director at Curvy, Chic, Bridal, and one of Northern Ireland's 40 under 40s for the year of 2019. Hello, Rebecca. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Look, I really appreciate you taking time out of your hectic schedule to join us
It's my
in the
pleasure.
Spotlight. Why don't you share with us who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it for?
Sure. My name's Rebecca, as you mentioned. I own a company called Curvy Chic Bridal. And under that banner, we also have Curvy Chic Boutique, which is our online and in-store casual wear plus size boutique. So we are Northern Ireland's only exclusively plus size bridal store. We started in 2016 from the spare bedroom in my house, built up to a bigger house that we went into, and then eventually we moved into this premises opposite the Strand Cinema on the Hollywood Road in 2019. We've been here ever since, yeah.
Lovely, excellent, well done so far. So,
thank you.
Who would be your ideal customer then?
A plus size woman really is our main demographic and our main sort of target audience. There 67% of the female population in the UK and Ireland is a size 18 plus, which is classed as plus size. But yet we are the only exclusively plus size bridal store, and most bridal stores have a handful, maybe 5 or 6 at most dresses available. So for plus size brides to try. So our ideal customer really is someone like myself. I was a plus size bride and I was looking for a dress, and that's where it became very evident that this was an area that was not being catered for.
Fantastic, excellent. Brilliant niche to go for there, and really good for you to share those statistics. I'm sure our customer base here will be really intrigued to hear that.
I'm sure. Hopefully retailers will be, because I know that's a big problem that we hear a lot from our customers, is finding nice clothing when you're plus size is really difficult.
Forgive my naivety, but I think the whole fashion industry has been, the sort of very skinny, if maybe not far too skinny focus, it's done so much damage, I think, to ladies all across the world. But
massive.
This is great that you're doing this. What has been your biggest learning since becoming a business owner?
Oh gosh, staff are really hard sometimes. I love my staff. I have amazing staff, but that has definitely been a massive learning curve, because when we started out, it was just me. And my mum was helping me. She had gotten unwell, and so she wasn't working, and so she'd owned businesses in the past, so she was sort of being my advisor and helping hand there. And when you start to bring other people into the equation, it gets a little bit more complicated. So I had to sort of learn to be a boss, which was quite the learning curve, and something I don't want to say I struggled with, but I sort of took me a bit to find my feet, because I was torn between what we're led to believe a boss should be in order to have success, and what I would have loved as a boss. And I had to find it, and a bit of a middle ground there between treating my staff really well, how I would want to be treated as an employee, but making sure that we were getting the return on our investment in that staff.
Of course.
I think we got there, but that was definitely a big learning curve, was bringing other people in to the equation and learning how to work with them, manage them, and not just be a business owner, but be an employer.
Excellent. Great share. So when you were growing up, Rebecca, is this something that you had always wanted to do, like own and run your own business? Or
not at all. I actually did a degree in music. I have a major in jazz singing, so not at all. I realized very shortly after I finished my degree, I started teaching, and I hated teaching. I did not have the patience for teaching singing. And so I retrained and I became a hair and makeup artist, and I worked as a hair and makeup artist. And that's kind of how I got involved in the bridal industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I met so many brides, obviously, and I was asking, oh, where'd you get your dress from? And girls that were, you know, even like a size 14, size 12, which is, you know, very normal, smaller sizes, were saying, oh, it was a nightmare, nothing fitted me. And here's me thinking, oh God, I'm gonna have a tough time when the time comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of how it kind of all barreled into this. I think I probably would have always wanted to work for myself in some capacity.
Yes.
My mum, as I mentioned, has always owned her own businesses and been very entrepreneurial. So I take after her in that way, but I don't necessarily think this was the industry I thought I'd end up in.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No, that's great. So you mentioned earlier about staffing being one of the biggest learning curves. What would have been the biggest issue that you've overcome?
COVID was certainly a very difficult time. And along with that came, I think, a lot of mental health challenges, actually.
Sure.
And I'm very conscious that your mental health is the most important thing. So I think one of the biggest challenges, certainly getting through COVID and post-COVID with regards to staff, was looking after people, but reminding them that they still have to work. You know, it was a bit of a tricky navigation to get through, wanting to have compassion for people. I have a staff member that has, you know, she's raised by her grandparents and they were elderly. And so she was having terrible time mental health wise with the panic and the stress of everything. And, you know, trying to be compassionate about that, but also be like, okay, but when you're here, it's, you know, we've got to learn to shut that off. So we did a lot of group meetings, a lot of group talking and looking into different things like compassion fatigue and things like that we would experience in this industry. And that again has been a big learning curve for me, is to and probably the biggest challenge when it's come to staffing is to keep my staff good and healthy, but also keep them working, you know. Keeping that balance has been a bit of a challenge post COVID, certainly, because that was, you know, did a number on everybody, I think.
Sure. Oh, totally. Yeah. And just by your sharing, it's very obvious the empathy that you have for others. So being a boss and walking through that whole pandemic phase, I'm sure that was a big learning and a big issue to overcome, but you're on the other side of it and you've done well.
Thank goodness.
Well done. So who would inspire you in business? Who do you look up to? You've mentioned your mum several times. Outside of family, is there any particular person that would inspire you?
Yes and no, I would say. I probably would find inspiration more from local small business owners that are doing like interesting things, like Jude and Karen in Murphy and Bailey on the Belmont Road, which is just up the road from us. I just think that was such an like fascinating, interesting niche that they've done, and the way they work their business and things like that. I find that really inspiring, how they've grown what could have potentially, you know, what I imagine was a tricky business to grow, because it's, you know, luxury things for animals. That's not something that a lot of people are spending a lot of money on, in a, you know, during a pandemic and a, you know, cost of living crisis. There were also a couple of people that I had met via a show in London. It's the London Bridal Fashion Week. And that are bridal store owners that are also plus size bridal store owners in the States, and are sort of doing this same kind of thing as us, but stateside. And one girl in particular, she started the first plus size bridal store in Chicago, and now she has another store in New York. And, you know, so I find that really inspirational as well, seeing how they're growing, and it's good that we have the kind of relationship where I can talk to them and be like, well, how did you do that? Or what do you think about this? Or when you come up against this issue, what do you do? And, you know, but I definitely find probably more than I would find, you know, big business owners, the small local business owners that are doing really well for themselves in interesting markets.
Yeah, superb. And I think that's also part of what the Business Spotlight is about as well. Some of the players, the business owners like yourself, share on the spotlight, then inspire and help others that maybe
Totally.
haven't reached out or doesn't have somebody who's right there to network
Yeah,
and to help them, to support them.
because
So
it can be really hard when you're in a very, you know, a micro business, I suppose, as they call it, where you don't have necessarily any friends that have gone through it or are going through it or have had these experiences. And it can be quite difficult as well when you're in a niche market like we are to find a business mentor or coach that has the knowledge about, you know, what we specifically do, because our niche is so different. So having other people in the industry that you can talk to is just so valuable.
excellent, good.
Yeah.
So along the lines of that, are there any sort of favorite books or podcasts that you return to for motivation?
So books or podcasts, honestly, when I listen to podcasts, they're all crime ones. Everyone thinks I'm a lunatic, but for me,
not at all. My house is
for
full
me,
of John Grisham books.
I know, for me, they're good like escape things, books and podcasts. But there was a book that I've read recently, and the name's gone out in my head. Oh gosh, it's got a red cover and I've completely forgotten the name of it. Anyway, the point of the book, I'll see my husband remember. Can you remember what that book was called that I read recently? It has red cover and it was about customers. Nope, he can't remember either.
No
and it was all about basically how to get your customer to yes. I'll try and find the name of it and I'll send it to you because I cannot remember off the top of my head, but it was this book about, is it called Getting to Yes? I think it's called Getting to Yes. And it was all about like building like a really good customer journey and things like that. I find those things really interesting. More so than I would look at books about marketing or anything like that. I have in the past, and certainly around when we were building our online store, we were looking at different things about how to make Don't Make Me Think. That was another really good one. Don't Make Me Think. Can't remember who it's by now, and that was all about how to create a really good customer journey for particularly online e-commerce and online businesses and whatnot. I find that really interesting because I suppose you're looking at how people work, how they're getting from arriving on your website to a purchase. To me is something that I find really, really interesting.
Yeah, excellent, good. So what does the future look like for you, Rebecca, and for Curvy Chic Bridal, and what do you see as the main challenges to overcome as you move forward?
So for us, the future, we're doing a bit of changing at the moment, actually. We've been looking into our boutique end and doing a bit of research into what has been the main search terms and things that are bringing people to us. And that has, as it turns out, been more focused on occasion wear. So we're taking a bit of a swing in that direction and sort of rebranding a little bit, keeping the same name and everything, but changing a bit about changing what we'll be selling, really, so that we can. There's no point in fighting what people are coming to us for. It'd be silly to try and push something on them that they're not coming to us for. So instead, we're going to lean into it. And we're also introducing hat hire, which is new to us completely. We have sold hats for like Mothers of the Bride, because we do Mother of the Bride attire, and we've sold them for years and years, but I've always been very conscious of doing the hire, so I was worried they would get damaged and things. But we got talking to another business owner who is down Newry direction, and she does it, and she was saying it's definitely, it's great. People are very respectful of them and things. So introducing that, and I also this year started designing our own range called Rebecca Jane's Bridal of plus size bridal wear. So we're very busy around here. Lots going on, but lots of interesting changes. I think we've been looking more at. I mean, the reality is we've come out of a pandemic into a cost of living crisis. People don't have the same amounts of money to spend on luxury items like wedding attire and things anymore. So certainly not at the moment. So instead of fighting that and trying to keep pushing that, we will of course maintain our luxury items, but we are introducing ranges that are more affordable and trying to meet our customer where they're at right now.
Sure.
Because that's the only thing that's going to keep us going. If we keep ignoring customers saying, well, I don't have the money to spend on that, and dig our heels in, well, we're going to go under. We've got to, that's where they're at right now. We've got to go there and meet them there, or at least most of the way there, and hope when we come out the other side, we can keep moving with that customer back up to a more luxury price point. But for now, the most important thing is maintaining the health of the business.
Yeah.
Oh,
excellent. So what would you say to anybody thinking of going into business for themselves?
That's an interesting question. Ask lots of questions of other business owners. I would say most small business owners are really happy to chat to you, even if it's not your industry. Say if you're going into retail, but it's like you're selling fishing equipment, totally different to me. We still have customers. We still have to deal with retail marketing. We still have to deal with a lot of similar things. So, feel free to reach out to people, even if they aren't in your very specific industry, to talk to them, because they will have answers to questions that you will be asking yourself, and they will have learned through, trial and error. So learn from them. Don't make the same mistakes they've already made. Ask tons of questions and listen to all the advice you get from everybody. Take it all on board. You can pick and choose what you want to work with, but take it all on board and take it seriously, knowing that these people have done this. This is something they've gone through. That would be my main thing. It's something that has helped me so much. Anytime I meet a business owner and I can pick their brains, I am in there like notepad, like, and then what? And then what?
Yeah.
Because
totally.
there's something maybe, and I'm like, what did you do about this? And then what happens if this happens? Because this happened to me and I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because the reality is we're all kind of, making it up as we go along. So if we've already gone through it, learn from us, ask the questions, and feel free to reach out and ask as much as you can. That is going to help set you up on the best possible platform, so that when you are building your business, you're not going to be like, oh God, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what I'm doing. Why is this happening? What do I do now? Because you'll maybe have some of those answers, or at least have some people you can ask.
Totally. No, excellent advice. And
I think there's too much focus sometimes, I think, in business on competition. And instead of and like, yes, of course, another bridal store is my competition, but they're also my colleague. So I have a group chat with a bunch of bridal stores in Northern Ireland, and we'll jump in and say, God, has anybody dealt with this? Or what do I do here? This bride's saying this, or this designer's doing this. What do I do? And it's so great to have that sounding board of people who probably have been through that situation before. So yes, you are competition, and that is the reality, but you're also colleagues. You're living the same thing. So, lean on each other.
Totally.
Yeah.
Excellent advice. So what's the best advice that you would give to an 18-year-old Rebecca? Don't
go to university and study music. It sounds fun, but you're going to hate teaching. Don't do it. I probably, that would be the biggest thing that I would change about. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I loved my time at university. I had great fun. But now as an adult looking back, I probably would have been like, hey, think more realistically about what you want to do with your life. And if you're not sure, take a break, take a step back. You're 18, you're a child. I mean, I didn't start Curvy Chic. I'm 37 now, with 38 this year, so I didn't start until I was like in my late 20s. So the reality is so many business owners don't really get their feet stuck in and get really into a good business until they are in their late 20s, 30s, 40s, and so on. When you're 18, you're just a kid. You're a kid, and there's too much pressure to figure out what you want to do. So either take a break and don't worry about it. Go work somewhere, find out what you like, or think maybe a little bit more realistically long term about what you want to do. If I was to go back and do it again, I probably would have studied something more to do with something business related or marketing related, things like that. That would have helped me more, I think. And I probably had a bit more knowledge going into owning a business than I did. But I think there's a lot of pressure on essentially children, on teenagers when you come out of school to suddenly, know what you're meant to do with your life whenever you've been told what to do for the last 18 years, you know.
Sure.
Take a break if you're not sure. Doesn't matter. Go take a year out, take 2 years out. You're so young. You have so much time.
Yeah. Excellent. Really good. Well, Rebecca, look, wonderful to have you on Business Spotlight today. I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for all your key shares and advice.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks.